If you got this email from your bank yesterday, you just dodged a bullet worth thousands of dollars. Look, I'm about to show you something that's going to make your skin crawl. Last week, I received what looked like a perfectly legitimate email from my bank. Professional layout, correct logos, even my account number was right. But here's the thing, it was completely fake. And it was so good that even I, someone who's been studying cybersecurity for years, almost fell for it. We're not talking about those obvious Nigerian prince scams anymore. AI has changed the game completely, and the scammers are winning. In fact, phishing reports have spiked by 466% in recent months, and the average financial loss per victim has reached devastating levels. But here's what the banks don't want you to know: there are always telltale signs. Always. And I'm about to show you exactly what to look for. The evidence-based reality. Before we dive into the red flags, let me paint you a picture of what we're actually dealing with here. The FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center reported that phishing scams resulted in over $10.3 billion in losses in 2022 alone. That's not a typo, billion with a B. But here's where it gets really scary. Traditional phishing used to be easy to spot because of broken English, obvious spelling mistakes, and generic greetings like "Dear Customer." Today's AI-powered phishing emails are written with perfect grammar, personalized with your actual information, and crafted to look identical to legitimate bank communications. I spoke with Sarah Chen, a cybersecurity researcher at MIT, who told me something that kept me up at night. She said, the sophistication level we're seeing now would have been impossible just 2 years ago. AI can now analyze thousands of legitimate bank emails and replicate their exact style, tone, and structure. Think about that for a second. We're not just dealing with humans trying to trick us anymore. We're dealing with machines that can study and perfectly mimic legitimate communications faster than we can learn to spot the fakes. But here's the thing, and this is where hope comes in: machines, no matter how sophisticated, still have limitations. They make patterns. They leave traces. And once you know what to look for, you can spot them every single time. Red flag #1. The emotional manipulation timeline. This is the big one, and it's psychological warfare at its finest. Legitimate banks operate on what I call bureaucratic time. When they need something from you, they give you weeks, sometimes months to respond. They send multiple notices. They follow legal procedures. AI-generated phishing emails? They're designed to trigger your fight-or-flight response. Your account will be closed in 24 hours. Immediate action required. Suspicious activity detected. Click now or lose access. I actually tested this with a friend who works in bank security. I showed her 20 emails, 10 real, 10 fake. She could identify the fakes with 100% accuracy just by looking at the urgency language. Real banks don't need to create panic because they have legal processes to follow. But here's what's really clever about modern AI phishing: they're not just using obvious panic language anymore. They're using what researchers call soft urgency. Phrases like "please verify your information at your earliest convenience," or "to ensure continued service, please update your details within the next few days." Sounds reasonable, right? That's exactly what they're counting on. Red flag #2. The personalization paradox. This one's fascinating because it seems counterintuitive. You think that an email knowing your name, address, and account number would make it more legitimate. But here's the dark reality: that information is easier to get than ever before. Data breaches have made personal information a commodity. Your name, email, phone number, and even partial account numbers are available on the dark web for pennies. But here's what's harder to fake: your actual relationship with your bank. Real banks reference specific interactions. They'll mention the branch you opened your account at, the specific services you use, or recent transactions in ways that feel natural and contextual. AI-generated emails will use your personal information, but they'll use it in ways that feel inserted. For example, a real email might say, "Hi John, regarding the savings account you opened with us at our downtown branch last year." An AI fake might say, "Dear John Smith, your savings account #XXXX1234 requires immediate attention." See the difference? One feels like a conversation, the other feels like a mail merge. Red flag #3. The technical authenticity test. This is where we get into the digital DNA of emails, and it's actually easier to check than you might think. Every legitimate email has what's called authentication protocols. Think of them as digital fingerprints. When you hover over the sender's email address, don't click, just hover, you should see the actual sending domain. Real banks use consistent, official domains. Chase uses chase.com, Bank of America uses bankofamerica.com. Sounds obvious, right? But AI phishing has gotten sophisticated here too. They'll use domains like chasesecurity.com or bankofamericaalerts.com. These look legitimate at first glance, but they're not. Here's a quick test you can do right now. Take any legitimate email from your bank and look at the sender information. Real banks will have consistent sending addresses across all their communications. Phishing emails often use different sender addresses, even when pretending to be from the same institution. But here's the advanced technique that most people don't know about. Check the email headers. In most email clients, you can view the full headers, which show the email's journey from sender to your inbox. Legitimate bank emails will show consistent routing through official servers. Phishing emails often show routing through suspicious or generic servers. Red flag #4, the behavioral inconsistency pattern. This is where human psychology meets digital deception, and it's absolutely fascinating. Every bank has a communication style, a digital personality, if you will. They use consistent terminology, formatting, and even punctuation patterns. I spent hours analyzing legitimate emails from major banks, and here's what I found. Each bank has unique quirks. Some always use "dear" in greetings, others use "hello." Some sign off with "sincerely," others with "best regards." Some use bullet points, others use numbered lists. But AI-generated phishing emails? They're like digital chameleons that can't quite get the colors right. They might use Chase's logo, but Wells Fargo's greeting style. They might replicate the visual design perfectly, but use language patterns that don't match. I actually caught a sophisticated phishing attempt this way. The email looked perfect, right logo, right colors, even the right font. But my bank never uses exclamation points in their subject lines. Ever. This email had one. That tiny inconsistency saved me from a potentially devastating scam. The really scary part? As AI gets better, these inconsistencies are becoming more subtle, but they're still there if you know what to look for. Red flag #5, the link behavior analysis. This is the final test, and it's the most important one because this is where the actual damage happens. But I want to be crystal clear: never click suspicious links to test them. I'm going to show you how to analyze them safely. Legitimate bank links do two things consistently. They go directly to the official website, and they use secure connections, HTTPS. But here's the sophisticated part: modern phishing links often do go to HTTPS sites. They're not just using HTTP anymore. The trick is in the URL structure. Real banks use predictable, consistent URL patterns. Chase might use chase.com/account-access or chase.com/secure-login. Phishing sites often use complex subdomains or completely different domains that redirect to fake sites. But here's the advanced technique that security experts use. Hover over the link again, don't click, and look at the destination URL. If it's a shortened link bit.ly, tinyurl, etc., that's an immediate red flag. Banks don't use link shorteners in official communications. And here's what I always tell people when in doubt: don't use the link at all. Open a new browser window, go directly to your bank's website, and log in normally. If there's really an issue with your account, you'll see it there. Contrasting viewpoints. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This all sounds paranoid. How often does this really happen? And aren't banks getting better at protecting us? And honestly, those are fair questions. The banking industry has invested billions in cybersecurity. They have fraud detection systems, multi-factor authentication, and teams of security experts working around the clock. Some argue that these measures make individual vigilance less critical. There's also the argument that technology solutions, spam filters, email authentication, browser warnings should catch most phishing attempts before they reach us. Gmail, for instance, claims to block 99.9% of spam and phishing emails. Industry experts like those from the American Bankers Association argue that consumer education, while valuable, shouldn't be the primary defense against sophisticated attacks. They point out that even cybersecurity professionals sometimes fall for advanced phishing attempts, so expecting average consumers to catch everything is unrealistic. And they're not wrong. The responsibility shouldn't fall entirely on individual consumers. Banks and technology companies do have a crucial role to play in protecting their customers. Finding the deeper truth. But here's where I think we need to find the middle ground. Yes, banks and tech companies should be doing more. Yes, technology solutions are improving. But here's the uncomfortable truth: we're in an arms race between AI-powered attacks and AI-powered defenses, and the attackers currently have the advantage. The reason is simple: attackers only need to succeed once. Defenders need to succeed every single time. And as AI becomes more accessible, the barrier to entry for sophisticated phishing attacks continues to drop. So what's the answer? It's not choosing between technology solutions and personal vigilance, it's layering them. Think of it like home security. You wouldn't rely only on your neighborhood watch or only on your alarm system. You use both. The 5 red flags I've shown you aren't just about spotting fake emails. They're about developing a security mindset that makes you a harder target. And here's the beautiful thing: once you know what to look for, it becomes second nature. I've been using these techniques for months now, and I've caught 3 sophisticated phishing attempts that made it past my email filters. Each time, it was one of these red flags that saved me. Questions and broader implications. But this raises some fascinating questions that go way beyond just bank emails. If AI can mimic human communication this well, what does that mean for trust in digital communication overall? How do we maintain human connection in a world where we can't be sure who or what we're really talking to? And here's an even deeper question: as AI becomes indistinguishable from human communication, are we entering an era where skepticism becomes more valuable than trust? What happens to society when the default assumption is that digital communication might be fake? We're already seeing this happen. Younger generations are becoming naturally more suspicious of online communications. But is that healthy skepticism, or are we creating a generation that struggles to trust anything? And here's the big one: what happens when AI gets so good that even these red flags disappear? What's our next line of defense? Conclusion. Look, I know this can feel overwhelming. The technology is evolving fast, and it sometimes feels like we're fighting a losing battle. But here's what I want you to remember: awareness is still your best defense. These 5 red flags work because they're based on fundamental limitations of how AI processes and replicates human communication. Even as the technology improves, these patterns will persist because they're rooted in the difference between mimicking and truly understanding. So here's what I want you to do. First, share this video with someone you care about, especially if they're older or less tech-savvy. The statistics show that older adults are disproportionately targeted by these scams. Second, practice these techniques on your own emails. Don't wait for a suspicious email to arrive. Look at legitimate emails from your bank and learn to recognize their patterns. And third, if you catch a phishing attempt using these techniques, share your experience in the comments. Let's build a community of people who are actively protecting each other from these attacks. Remember, every time you catch a phishing email, you're not just protecting yourself, you're making it harder for scammers to succeed. And that makes the internet safer for everyone. The question isn't whether you'll encounter AI-generated phishing emails, it's whether you'll recognize them when you do. Now you will.